Hello everyone. Those interested in cosplay, gather up please. I'm Tom Ask. Some of you remember me from before, obviously. So I'm going to go over cosplay here, and I've got with me a student of mine, Thomas, who does a lot of good work with armor, foam armor, and it's so good that he's won accolades, money, and fame, and prestige, and he's in a movie coming, like an art movie or something, right? What's the story?
Not the movie.
Well, the videographer.
It was like a personal project.
But the videographer liked you so much that he used.
He contacted me and
your, was it video or stills?
It was video.
Yeah, so there you go. See, movie star. What more do you want? So what I was going to do is just go over a handful of things here, kind of quickly. We'll move over to Thomas, who's done a lot of work with armor. So with cosplay, of course, you're trying to. It's a very creative expression of builds because you're trying to take on the attributes of the character and make things that the character wears and become one with the character in a sense. So it's good fun. And we've had Comic Cons here at Penn College, and I taught at the last one something much like this. But this will be really abbreviated. We hope to have a longer one. We will have a longer one on probably right after Thanksgiving. We're working on that now with a lot of different sessions on everything from chainmail to sewing, to crocheting, to carving, to foam armor, to all kinds of things. So we're still working on that now. But anyway, I've got a lot of things here to show you, and some of these we can pass around, and I'll do a little bit with it. So a few classes ago, we did casting. So I'm not going to really repeat that, but we did this casting here in our casting class, and these things derive from it. So these are prop quality, so they have no edges on them. And I just thought I'd show you some of the things you can do, because once you get a casting developed, you can do all sorts of things with metal treatments and such. And I have one mold right here. This is a silicone mold, and if you haven't seen this, you can pass it around and take a look at that. So we had a whole class on that, so I didn't want to repeat it, but I did want to bring in the artifacts. But if you look at working with edged weapons, another way to do that is with aluminum in terms of, we'll say, cosplay pursuits. If you get aluminum, you can work it with woodworking equipment and cut it out with a bandsaw and really quickly make an edged instrument. If you remember when we dealt with polystyrene, you could do the same with that too. You could take polystyrene piece, especially the thicker ones, and come up with a really good weapon or edge device of some sort. So that's a whole realm. I won't repeat that as well. Then this is another technique for making big things, and this is made out of a piece of siding. So we got some cedar siding, and basically you shape it the way you want and cover it with this aluminum tape and build a guard and build a handle. I kind of left it open. I have a piece I made back here out of Super Sculpey, which we had talked about before too, that fit into this. It's got like a skull's head, and I wrapped this with like a dielectric tape, which is, kind of looks like leather. Actually, it's what I use here, this stuff here, to give it a finished look. So you'll see it's very light and balanced, and it's these little trim work yet. And then Super Sculpey is this material which we talked about last time that you can make a lot of shapes from, and you heat it in an oven at 175, 10 minutes for every quarter inch. And you can, and we looked at this before, but I brought it so you can take a look, and I'll donate this to the makerspace too. So that's Super Sculpey. Just for kicks, I thought I would show you this, and then maybe I'll see if, Tyler, you are certified in bandsaw, so I'll give this to you when I'm done. So if you want to make a quick broadsword, get as big a piece of siding as you want, okay? The bigger the better. And all you do is you cut it and shape it, put an edge on it, then you put on this tape, which with the fingernail thing, here we go with the fingernails. There we go, okay. It's really easy, well, it's sort of easy. You lay the tape on, and if you're doing something broad, you'll see in the center line, there's where the two tapes meet, and you lay it on carefully, and you work it into the wood, pushing it out with your fingernail or a credit card or something like that. You can pierce any bubbles with an X-Acto knife, okay, and that's how that works. Then you take steel wool, rub it with steel wool and black shoe polish, you wipe down the shoe polish and you're done. So it's very easy to make a blade like that, and it's very safe and straight. So this is what it looks like. And literally, Tony, I was thinking of you. If you have time, you cut that on the bandsaw and go ahead and make a quick blade when we're done here. Or I wonder, yeah, okay, so that's for you, it's a gift. And then, I'm trying to be linear. This is, a student made this, this is using foam. So foam is really a good way to make three-dimensional forms too. And they used spackle, which is, you know, it dries in air, it's not toxic, it's nice stuff. Not really the greatest workmanship, but you can see what you can do with metallic foils and so on. Pass that around. Yeah, it's a horn. And then, again, going linearly here, so I don't miss anything. Here's a casting. So here's a good casting, and here's a bad casting. So I'll pass that around. You see what that looks like. And then I want to show you a couple other materials. Well, here, I'll pass this around too. This is made with the Super Sculpted that I passed around before, with actually this is plastic. Oh, this is spackle. So this isn't really pretty, but you can sand this, paint it. So that's going to be part of the knife, or it was going to be part of the knife handle, but it came out poorly. Okay, then I wanted to show you, well, I'll do this, so I can pass this around too. And Thomas, I need about like 5 or 10 minutes. Say 10 minutes, and then you'll be next. So this is plasticine, it's plastic, so it's carving clay. You can carve shapes out of this and make castings from it. You can paint it, you can cover it with spackle, you can cover it with Bondo, you know, so you get a fiberglass finish. There's different grades of this. This is medium grade. It's easiest to work on when you heat it in like a clay oven or crock pot, but you can work it cold. So this is a donation to Makerspace as well. So this is really good if you want to get good detail in an object. So again, this is in the context of cosplay. So if you wanted to make a figurine, this is one way to do it. And of course, another way to do it is to 3D print things, which is like easy, but this is all by hand and all from your mind. This is from GrabCAD or something else. So you all know about 3D printing, and that's a good way to make complex forms too. So some of you have worked with plasticine because a lot of my students are here. But anyway, so this is carves like basswood. It's a nice carving material, so you can just go ahead and carve away at it and get a feel for it. If clay drops on the floor, please pick it up because it gets rubbed into the carpet and is a pain. And you can just kind of get a sense for how it behaves. And that will be around afterwards too, so you can kind of practice with it. So it's like wood carving. It's a little bit easier than wood carving, and you can fix mistakes. So that's very nice. It won't dry out. Okay? It won't dry out, which is a plus. So unlike water clay, it doesn't dry. Then I want to show you this friendly plastic, which I can't really do here, but I brought this is for making plastic prototypes. And what you do is there's a couple ways to do it. The most appropriate way is you put it in a glass of hot water, and it will turn clear. And when it turns clear, you can mold it. And these pellets will fuse together. You can, obviously if you hit it with a heat gun, it's going to blow all over the place, but there's different ways to heat it. And you can hand form a plastic part. And it's actually strong, and it's good for prototyping too. So if you need to make some kind of weird hinge type thing, you can make it with this material. So it's sort of, how does it compare with 3D molding? Well, it's sort of a hand formable material. So that's handy. And I mentioned that if you want to make a helmet that's really fancy, you can take the product I'm going to show you next, and I think kind of last, and cover it with that too, and sand it, and you can get a really nice finish on things. So you can get a thin film of plastic with that. I've used it largely for larger physical things. Then before I do Wonderflex, which is where I'll end my part, this is a form of heat processable, low temperature heat processable material. So we'll look at two things, Wonderflex and this foam equivalent. There's also, those of you who are into medicine know that there's materials that are used for making casts that are water, that the epoxies are activated by water, and those work out really well. So here's the foam. It looks like this. Okay, it's very pliable. I'll pass both of these around. When you heat it, actually I'm going to, that's heated, and it gives you a shape that you, actually I'll give you that. I'll just heat this one. Okay. So what I'm going to look at now has a lot to do with more hard-edged items, not like the polystyrene that we looked at before, and not like the foam that Thomas will look at, and there's somewhere in between. So you can make really elaborate masks with this material, breastplates, armbands, these kind of things. And this is Wonderflex, so I'll pass this around, and this is so it's what we can do with this material. So and I'll pass this around too. So what I'm going to look at now is a product called Wonderflex. You buy it in sheets, and it's really popular in the cosplay community because you can do a lot with it. So this is an example of what I can do in terms of creating organic parts. So you know about vacuum forming and so on. This material, though, I can get to a heated temperature, but one that won't burn me. I can actually form it around my arm or some other body part to affect the shape. So that's what it looks like when it cools. And I'll show it to you in just a second.